Hey everyone, welcome to a very special Q&A. We have some questions, I have some answers. We're going to go over it. First question. Have you ever played any other competitive formats? If so, what formats and decks? So yeah, I've played a few other formats. I played Standard for a while. I played Modern. I played in a Standard PPTQ, and I came in ninth. That's about as good as it gets from me. um, I was playing Miracle Grow, which is like a saffron olive brew. I tried to play as many of the saffron olive decks as I could possibly play when I played other competitive Magic formats. I was a bit of a brewer for Standard. For Modern, I generally just played what I thought was the best deck. So I played Splinter Twin. Then I played Tron for a bit. But really, eventually, I got tired of that, and I wanted to attack with creatures. So I built Craig Wesco's Green White Hate Bears deck, which I loved. Eventually got stolen, along with my first real EDH deck that I loved. So that was pretty brutal. But yeah, so interesting thing. Any card you see me have, I've picked up since my whole collection got stolen. So um, yeah, that's a lot. All right. So the second question: do you think Tevish is good enough to get on the DDB? Yeah, I think so. So I just stepped down as a DDB reviewer, but I can say that it's definitely good enough. I'm sure I'd pass it if I had the option today. Do you think that Tevish is underrated, and what was the best commander from Commander Legends in your opinion? I think 2 weeks ago it was underrated. 3 weeks ago it was underrated. I think people are starting to pick it up on why it's really good. Um, every time someone says something like, "Why would you play two 5 mana commanders?" I think that is someone who deeply underrates it. I think I'm not sure what the best commander from Commander Legends is, but I think it's probably whatever commander abuses Jewel Lotus the most. It's probably the case for whatever the best commanders are right now in the format. Personally, I really like Tevish Zot and Crom and Malcolm and Timna. I think both those pairings are really strong. When I play Malcolm Timna, I just tutor up my Jewel Lotus every time, and it feels amazing. It's really good. I yeah like So if I had to pick between those two, I'd probably say Tevish is better, but I have a lot of fun playing both of those. So yeah. Favorite CDH card, favorite casual card. Okay, so I instantly know what my favorite casual card is. It's Knowledge Exploitation. Um, and if that card ever sees play in CDH, all of a sudden it is my favorite CDH card. But for now, it's my casual deck. I just love the idea of stealing my opponent's spells. Favorite CDH card. Could be Paco. Could be Corval. Dockside? Probably Dockside. I think the cool thing about Dockside is it just makes so many Lotus Petals. And when you think of Dockside that way, you're like, oh, that card's really good. Because I play Lotus Petal. So I'd play a 2 mana card that makes a lot of Lotus Petals. And, playing it with Corvold. Aghaim's Awakening is one of my favorite CDH cards. I'm not currently playing it in Corvold, though, so maybe now it isn't a CDH card. Who knows? Yeah, those are some of my favorites. Dockside, Knowledge Exploitation, Bribery. I really like Bribery, but that's because it finds Dockside when you're not playing red. So, yeah, that's my favorite. Otter TV asks, "What was your first CDH? Oh no, first deck ever." So I borrowed my friend's standard deck, and it was a black-white tokens deck with Elspeth. And I remember because I could not understand Planeswalkers. I was like, "What is this?" So yeah, that means I started in Theros. The first pre-release I went to was a Born of the Gods pre-release. That was the first Magic event I went to. My first EDH deck. So I bought the Mirren Precon and I bought the Doretti Precon, and I hated EDH so much, but I couldn't stop myself because I'd be like, maybe I'll enjoy it one day, and I wouldn't enjoy it. The first deck I really, really loved that was mine, and it was the deck that got stolen I mentioned earlier, is my Oloro Doomsday deck. So it was Oloro and Doomsday and Labman, and you would Doomsday, you'd add Naws. The idea was that Oloro would gain you life every turn, so your add Nawses were good, because who would play a Naws without Angel's Grace, right? So yeah, you need Oloro's life gained so you can get up to 50 life. So your Nawses are good when you're playing cards like Consecrated Sphinx and crazy stuff. So yeah, it was a fun deck. Yeah, first deck ever though. I think the first deck I remember brewing, it was mine, it was Teamer, and the idea is it used the so in M15 there were these cycle of cards that were like the Soul of Phyrexia, the Soul of Chandelar. So it was Prophet of Kruvix plus those cards. So they had like activated abilities you could use, and there was one that was Soul of Chandelar, which was deal 3 damage to target creature and its controller. So with with Prophet of Kruvix, I could activate it on my turn and then activate it on my opponent's turn, and that was a clock. And the deck I would always lose to was my friend Noah's blue-black mill deck. Always got me. I remember thinking, how do you even beat this? And so part of the big brain plays was the Soul of Chandelar has the ability from its graveyard, and so I could kill his creatures by paying 6 mana from my graveyard to deal 3 damage. So that was the big brain tech in my little play group. Okay. XPR3 asks, what is your go-to for proxies? I just do the paper. Put paper in front of my cards. Yeah. I don't really proxy all that often. I usually just wait. I own so much of the format at this point that I play most. I own the cards that are in the decks I want to play, and like I had a Vile Smasher the other day. Like those are the kinds of cards I need at this point. I could proxy a Vile Smasher, but I just don't. So yeah. An option I do like is the helper cards from Zendikar. So if you've seen those, they're blank on the front with 2 lines and then a text box, and so you can just like fill that in with a with like a pen or something. I think that's probably a really good way to proxy. They're like I think they're like 9 cents a piece. Like I think that's totally worth it. I just ordered like 40 of them, so yeah. Higher asks, one of the best questions of the day. Why is seed time not more common? Well, first of all, it's a rare hire, so that's the first reason. The second reason is that it's like hard. It's like if Veil Summer only worked on your turn and also didn't protect your spell, but just gave it like rebound or something. It's like I played it in Paco. The only time I ever got it was my opponent was playing Seed Time, and I cast their Seed Time. It was awesome. That is the only time. It's the only time I've ever resolved a Seed Time in Paco, even though I played it for a bit. I just think like I wouldn't even play that many 2-mana counter spells, and Seed Time's barely that. It's like it's fine. I'd rather play Final Fortune, I guess. I don't know. It's ridiculous. All right, last question. If you had complete power to change one thing about our format, mechanically or culturally, what would it be? I think culturally, I'd make it so proxies were more accepted. I personally don't like playing with proxies, and if I could make myself be okay with that, I really would. I think that'd be really good for my wallet. Yeah, mechanically, I think I'd probably make Dockside cost 1 more mana. I think that's what I would do. I think the card's still good. You can still bribery for Dockside. It just makes it less busted. I mean, it'd make Corvold way worse, right? So let's say I want to make my decks better. I think I'd print a 4-mana extra turn spell for Paco. Yeah. And then for Corvold, I make it so Treasure's Crack for 2 mana instead of 1 mana. That's what I'd do. All right. So yeah, that's the end of the Q&A. I probably will do this again since this is so easy. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the answers and the questions, and I hope you have a nice one. See ya.